explosions, riots, and a crumbling dream. Once hailed as a symbol of China's global rise, the Belt and Road Initiative is now transforming into a sprawling web of crime and corruption. From the violent uprisings in Cambodia's industrial parks to the military strikes on Myanmar's notorious scam centers, a dark truth is finally being exposed. But the real shockwave? Cambodia is officially pivoting toward the United States, leaving Beijing's billions in investments as little more than worthless trash. Today, we dive deep into the collapse of the shadow empire, where human trafficking, massive Bitcoin seizures, and a systemic culture of deceit are eroding the very fabric of the CCP's global reach. This is the beginning of the Great Backlash. Welcome to China Obscura. Explosions, uprisings, and mass detentions are currently rocking Southeast Asia. At the heart of this turmoil sits Beijing's ambitious vision, the Belt and Road Initiative. Once hailed as the hallmark of China's global expansion, it has now devolved into a messy network of felony, fraud, and graft. From the fierce riots in Cambodia's Chinatown Industrial Park, where laborers demolished Chinese-run offices, to the bombings of Myanmar's KK Park, where scam operations perished under military strikes, a grim reality is emerging. Behind every shining megaproject and economic zone exists a hidden empire of deceit and human trafficking sustained by CCP ties. Then came a geopolitical blow. Cambodia officially shifted toward America, making Beijing's billions spent on loyalty worthless. The rebellion serves as a warning. China's exported dishonesty is buckling under its own pressure. And this time, Cambodia is the nation that sparked the flame. Since late last year, massive riots have broken out at the Chinatown Industrial Park in Sihanoukville province. Workers, primarily from Pakistan and Bangladesh, raided office blocks and housing, breaking tools and causing total chaos. According to the Cambodia China Times, most participants were staff for Chinese firms centered on web gambling and phone fraud. During the frenzy, computers and buildings were trashed, and several individuals were hurt. Local police quickly sent elite units, cordoned off the site, and restored order. Early reports suggest the riot was sparked by long-term pay disputes alongside religious friction during a holiday. Meanwhile, global critics are increasingly doubting China's growing footprint in Southeast Asia via the Belt and Road. Sihanoukville, packed with many Chinese-led construction projects, has long been infamous as a center for cross-border betting and web scam rings. Based on reports from the U.S. Institute of Peace, criminal groups with Chinese links have gone global, reaching from Southeast Asia to the U.S. Many victims of these rackets are Chinese living abroad, while the leaders keep close contact with Beijing's authorities. A major figure in these circles is Zhao Wei, a tycoon thought to act for China's Ministry of Public Security. He launched the Blue Shield Casino in Myanmar in 2001, a title reflecting ties to Chinese police. Following the 2011 Mekong River massacre, Zhao shifted his work to Laos and then Cambodia, where he built the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone spanning 10,000 hectares. While officially marketed as a growth zone, it has actually become a hub for betting, hotels, and shady trades. Evidence suggests Zhao was supported by a vice minister in China's security ministry. As the Belt and Road grew, old-school gambling moved online, building payment systems, laundering routes, and user records. When the pandemic closed borders, Southeast Asian casinos transformed into web fraud hubs. When Beijing increased crackdowns on betting, many networks shifted to telecom rackets, creating a portable global crime system. In Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand, various special economic zones have turned into legal covers for criminal groups. In late 2025, a Chinese court jailed 39 members of the Ming crime family in Myanmar. 11 of them faced execution for managing over $1.4 billion in illegal gambling and fraud money. Another kingpin, Zhejiang, was caught in Thailand after making over $300 million through web betting, scams, and human trafficking. Per the International Rescue Organization, the KK Park in Myanmar has become the ultimate stop for human trafficking in Asia. Victims unable to pay ransoms risk having their organs stolen. Experts suggest such horrors would be impossible without quiet backing from Chinese officials. The case of Zhejiang jailed in Thailand further sparked doubts. In an Al Jazeera talk, he claimed to be a former operative of China's Ministry of State Security who was silenced for knowing too much, including details tied to top CCP leaders. Even President Xi Jinping. He warned the Belt and Road isn't just business, but a CCP power tool. Global reports have also shown the link between investment and felony. Cambodia's Prince Group Holdings has been blamed for laundering cash across Pacific Island nations. Meanwhile, romance scam groups have spread through Thailand, Myanmar, and Singapore, with most bosses coming from Fujian, China. The Wang Sheng case, a Chinese star snatched in Myanmar, showed the true size of this shadow network. Over 70,000 people are kidnapped yearly in northern Myanmar's scam parks, where victim files briefly appeared on Chinese social media before being blocked. Leaked data suggested that Thai army officers, Hong Kong stars, and Guangdong tycoons were among the secret owners of these firms. Experts say such global crime systems couldn't last without political cover. Many crime lords have long held tight bonds with Chinese police, making most enforcement efforts purely for show. Banks, tech firms, and social apps have also been blamed for helping these crimes while regular people stay under heavy watch. The Sihanoukville riot is more than a workers' strike. It is a warning against Beijing's shadow power. The Belt and Road, once seen as a sign of China's economic climb, now shows itself as a web caught in trafficking, graft, and digital theft. Wherever it goes, instability follows. From Myanmar's scam hubs to Cambodia's lawless areas, the trend is clear. Chinese money arrives as development and leaves behind mess and terror. As Beijing's global goals grow, its exported graft threatens not just host countries, but the whole world order. Cambodia betrays China. The $20 billion in bribes and investments from the CCP have turned into worthless garbage. The U.S. used only one move to flip Beijing's partner. On November 6 last year, the U.S. State Department officially ended its decades-old arms ban on Cambodia, marking a huge diplomatic turn after nearly 38 years of alignment with China under the Hun family. For years, Cambodia took nearly $20 billion from Beijing to construct huge infrastructure, including Sihanoukville Port and the Ream Naval Base. In exchange, Cambodia often guarded Beijing's goals in ASEAN, stopping critiques on the South China Sea and letting parts of Sihanoukville become crime centers linked to Chinese groups. Yet, over the past year, Cambodia executed a shocking foreign policy shift. Within months, Phnom Penh quit its automatic support for Beijing in global talks. At the 2025 APEC summit, Cambodia stayed neutral and didn't back China's land claims. Within ASEAN, the country moved from Beijing's most reliable partner to a balanced actor while growing ties with America, Japan, India, and Australia. The biggest sign was PM Hun Min's major visits to Washington, Tokyo, and Canberra. Military changes followed fast. Cambodia's armed forces, once heavily reliant on Chinese training and equipment, now have access to U.S. arms and training at West Point. As of early 2026, a permanent American military advisory team is now in Phnom Penh, and the Angkor Sentinel drill is set to return this year. Cambodia is starting to move toward NATO standard drills, using an English-language command system, and is acquiring U.S. drones, patrol vessels, and armored vehicles. For the first time, Cambodia has been invited to participate in the Rim of the Pacific exercise. This change matches Cambodia's economic structure. Phnom Penh relies far more on the American market than China's. Last year, Cambodia exported $9.9 billion to the U.S., nearly 20% of its GDP. Over 60% of the raw materials for Cambodia's garment and bag exports to the U.S. originated from China. When President Trump set a 49% tax on certain Cambodian goods in April 2025, targeting China's tax evasion, Phnom Penh had to reassess its economic ties. The diplomatic shift intensified in July during a border conflict with Thailand. After 6 months of failed Chinese mediation, Washington seized the opportunity. President Trump personally fixed a ceasefire with one phone call. Chinese dams along the Mekong have also caused massive nature damage, cutting fish stocks by 70% and moving thousands of natives. Between 2024 and 2025, villagers in Koh Kong and Pria Vihir blocked roads to protest polluted water and devastated livelihoods. Additionally, Chinese-funded mega-projects have buried Cambodia under unmanageable debt. Officials worry about the high failure rate of these plans, noting that airports and roads often stay empty. In 2025, Hun Minay's government stopped new Chinese loans and turned to Japan, the US, and the World Bank. The Ream Naval Base, once seen as China's key strategic spot in Cambodia, is now seeing big shifts. Beijing was suspected of quietly securing a secret 30-year lease and dredging the bay for larger PLA Navy vessels. But by late 2025, Cambodia's Ministry of Defense announced that U.S. warships would also get access to the facility. Washington and its allies now expect Phnom Penh to show better rule and honesty. Cambodia is being urged to allow fair anti-graft probes and dismantle all scam centers this year. Hun Minay has declared that 2026 will be Cambodia's year of fighting corruption. As we move into 2026, Cambodia is at a critical inflection point, gaining access to markets, security partnerships, and development funds. This reorientation has punched a hole in China's strategic map and weakened the Belt and Road Initiative at a moment when Beijing can least afford it. Airstrikes wipe out Myanmar's KK Park. The U.S. recently grabbed $15 billion in Bitcoin from crime lord Chen Ji, exposing the CCP-backed scam empire. In late October last year, Myanmar's military launched a massive assault using drones to eradicate the KK Park complex, the area's largest cybercrime hub. Thousands fled across the border into Thailand. Myanmar's military called the operation a decisive demonstration of its determination. However, locals claim over 10 other scam parks in the area remain fully operational. Those who escaped KK Park simply moved to nearby sites where the internet still works. Along the Moe River, dozens of scam zones continue to function as hubs for cybercrime and trafficking. South Korea, the US, and the UK have teamed up for joint anti-fraud strikes following the murder of a Korean student in Cambodia in August. Cambodia subsequently deported 64 South Koreans and arrested 86 additional suspects. Simultaneously, the U.S. government sharply increased its fight against global scam rings. On October 14 last year, the Cambodia-based Prince Holding Group and Chairman Chen Ji were sued in New York for running a vast fraud empire. Chun faces counts of wire fraud, money laundering, and forced labor, with a potential 40-year jail term. The U.S. Justice Department took nearly 130,000 bitcoins worth about $15 billion US, while the UK froze 19 London estates owned by Chun. While Western powers act, China remains conspicuously silent. Chinese citizens are asking why their government has not intervened, with many speculating that high-ranking officials are protecting the scam operations. Foreign reports claim Chen Ji, who got Cambodian citizenship, has tight links to top CCP figures and hides assets for powerful elites, including relatives of President Xi. According to the US DOJ, Chun is protected by China's security ministries, effectively serving as the black glove for China's illicit overseas operations. Once given the title Nik Okna in Cambodia and acting as an aide to former PM Hun Sen, Chun allegedly used his rank to wash cash and run global scams. His wealth spans Cambodia, Singapore, Hong Kong, the UK, and Thailand, with a total value estimated in the hundreds of billions. The Prince Group was one of Cambodia's most powerful Chinese-owned conglomerates with over 100 branches. Prosecutors say its compounds housed thousands of phones managing fake social accounts to bait victims in China, Europe, and the US. These accounts built trust online before luring them into fraudulent investment schemes that drained their life savings. The FBI recently dismantled a laundering cell in Brooklyn, confirming $18 million in losses for American victims. U.S. authorities estimate that by 2026, Americans alone will lose over $10 billion to Southeast Asian scam networks, with Prince Group causing the largest share. Yet, internal records documented hundreds of millions in bribes, including luxury yachts and watches given to foreign leaders.